Welcome to HDTV. You now rocking with your boy. And today on Honest to Pause, and this is off an article done by Matt Castorol. At age 58, Jim Carrey opens up about his decade-old feud with Tommy Lee Jones. To us regular folk, a pair of lead actors getting into it on a movie set seems pretty extreme. Sure, acting styles may sometimes clash and sharing the spotlight may not be the easiest thing to do, but at the end of the day, most performers are willing to put their differences aside for the sake of a project. At least most are. Despite years of industry experience between them, Jim Carrey and Tommyleejones couldn't help but butt heads on the set of a certain 1995 film. Now, Carrey has finally opened up about the decades-old feud, and Hollywood will never be the same again. Not everyone's impressed. It all began in '92 with the Batman franchise, fresh off another hit in Batman Returns. Critical reviews were positive. The film grossed well over $250 million, yet the big wigs at Warner Brothers were anything but happy. Time for a change. Batman Return, while successful, had failed to outgross its 1989 predecessor, Batman, with its dark tone and tendency to frighten children cited as the likely cause. Warner Brothers wanted to take the franchise in a new, lighter direction, leading to some pretty significant shakeups. Taking the helm, Joel Schumacher, or Maker, was brought in to replace director Tim Burton, and 44-year-old Michael Keaton was swapped for the younger Val Kilmer in the role of Batman. Yet of all the changes made to the film, the one to its villains were perhaps the most significant. Here's Tommy. The role of Two-Face was originally supposed to go to Billy D. Williams, who played the villain's pre-criminal alter ego, Harvey Dent, in Batman. Schumacher, however, decided to go in a different direction, casting Oscar winner Tommy Lee Jones, whom he worked with on his '94 film The Client, instead. For the role of the Riddler, Robin Williams was the studio's first choice, having been passed over for the part of the Joker in the franchise's first installment. Yet once again, Schumacher swooped in and replaced Williams with one of the biggest stars of the '90s, Jim Carrey. Match made in heaven? Question mark. This reworked Batman incarnation, dubbed Batman Forever, premiered in '95 to high gross and acclaim. With Carrey and Jones' performances singled out for praise, the pair's chemistry in their co-villain roles was undeniably, that is, until the cameras stopped rolling. Not as it seems. Behind the scenes, the two actors were rumored to be far from the pals they portrayed, with Jones being the primary antagonist. Many wrote these rumors off as mere hearsay, though in a 2019 interview with Vulture, Joel Schumacher set the record straight. Not quite a role model. No, he wasn't kind to Jim, the director revealed. He did not act towards Jim the way an Oscar winner with a star on the Hollywood Boulevard, being the oldest member of the cast and having such a distinguished career and the accolades to go with it, should have acted towards Jim. Is it true? Yet this didn't seem quite Jones' style. Intimidating, sure. Emotionalist, why not? But blatantly malicious. There didn't seem to be a clear reason for Jones' mistreatment of Carrey, though Schumacher offered his best guess as to what first set the acclaimed actor off. Savoring the spotlight. According to the director, Jones was used to being the focus of a scene, with every word he spoke and move he made dictating all others. Yet with the chaotic and colorful energy of Carrey to play off of, Jones was no longer the solo center of attention. Beating at his own game. Tommy is, and I say this with great respect, a scene stealer, Schumacher explained. Well, you can't steal the scene from Jim Carrey. It's impossible, and I think it irked Tommy. Jim tells all. Still sharing the spotlight doesn't seem like the kind of thing that'll make a veteran like Jones flat out hate another actor. That's why during an episode of comedian Norm Macdonald's podcast, Norm Macdonald Live, Carrey dropped by to give his thoughts on the matter. Lashing out. In Carrey's mind, Jones disliked him. For him was misplaced frustration toward the film itself. A career dramatic actor, Jones very likely felt uncomfortable in a comic role and with the comedic direction Schumacher took the project toward. Reluctant role. In fact, Jones actually didn't even want to play Two-Face when Schumacher came calling, only agreeing to do so after his son insisted. But according to Carrey, this frustration actually came to a head at one point and in very dramatic fashion. An evening interrupted. In the middle of production, Carrey randomly popped into a local restaurant where Jones just happened to be dining. The maitre pointed him to join Jones' table, and thinking nothing of it, Carrey decided to give his co-star a quick hello. Not your typical greeting. I went over and I said, "Hey Tommy, how you doing?" And the blood just drained from his face. The comedian recalled. He got up shaking. He must have been in mid-kill me fantasy or something like that. Getting it off his chest. And he went to hug me and he said, "I hate you. I really don't like you," Carrey continued. And I said, "What's the problem?" and pulled up a chair, which probably wasn't smart. And he said, "I cannot sanction your buffoonery." Differing taste. Evidently, Jones just wasn't a fan of the wacky antics that have made Carrey a household name. One of the few that shirk smash hits like Ace Ventura, Pet Detective, and Dumb and Dumber during the 90s, yet according to legendary Funny Man, he harbors no resentment toward his former co-star. No hard feelings. Despite the two not working together since, Carrey maintains that he has nothing but respect and admiration for Jones. "He's a phenomenal actor," he told McDonald. "I still love him." A pattern of behavior. Not many other actors might say the same. However, despite being considered one of the most seasoned and iconic stars in Hollywood, Jones nearly let his anger and standoffish attitude derail his career along his rise to fame. Younger. Despite humble beginnings, Jones was exceptionally sharp as a child and earned a scholarship to St. Mark's School of Texas. He later attended Harvard, where he graduated cum laude with a BA in English. On the gridiron. While a student at Harvard, Jones was torn between pursuing an acting career or playing football. The school's coach encouraged him to play, and at 6'1", 200 pounds, Jones became an all-Ivy League guard and helped lead Harvard to an undefeated season. Friendship. At the same time, Jones just happened to room with former Vice President Al Gore. The two have remained lifelong friends, and Jones even gave the nominating speech for Gore when he was chosen as the Democratic nominee for the 2000 presidential election. Ripley's. Today, Jones is not only an award-winning actor, but a record holder too. The Hollywood legend landed a role on Broadway just 10 days after graduating from college and found an agent just as fast, leading to his mention in the issue of Ripley's Believe It or Not, a voice made for radio. Before he made his Broadway debut, Jones got his first taste of showbiz in a radio production of Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. 7-year-old Jones was cast as Sneezy and actually learned to sneeze on cue.
Welcome to the best day of the year, draft day.
Sorry about that, you guys. And actually learned to sneeze on cue. On stage, despite making a name for himself on the screen, Jones actually broke into the business in the 1969 Broadway production of A Patriot for Me. He then returned to the stage in 1971 and 74, starring in productions of Four on a Night Garden and Ulysses in Nightmare. One Life to Live. His first mainstream gig came in 1971 when he was cast as Dr. Mark Tolan in the ABC soap One Life to Live. He played the role for 4 years before his character was ultimately killed off. Inspiration. Meanwhile, Jones' first film role as Oliver in 1971's Love Story required him to play a character based on himself. Eric Segal, who penned the novel on which the film is based, drew inspiration for Oliver from two Harvard students he knew, Jones and Al Gore. Take a hike, teach. Jones never took formal acting lessons and refused critiques from even the most experienced teachers. I don't think I could get along very well with a teacher unless I was absolutely convinced he was better than me, and I'm not all that convinced anyone would be, he once remarked. Coal miner's daughter. Regardless, Jones proved talented to prepare for his role as Loretta Lynn's husband, Money Lynn, in the 1980 biopic Coal Miner's Daughter. Jones actually learned to drive a tractor from the man himself. Apparently, the driving lessons paid off as Jones was nominated for a Golden Globe for his performance. Almost. His career only grew from there. In addition to playing Agent K in Two-Face, Jones nearly added 2 additional big-name roles to his resume, the parts of Snake Plissken in Escape from New York and Rick Deckard in Blade Runner, before the productions decided to cast Kurt Russell and Harrison Ford. I don't care. Surprisingly, some of Jones' most famous lines were ad-libbed, including the one from his standoff with Harrison Ford in The Fugitive. After Ford's character told Jones, Sam Gerard, "I didn't kill my wife," Jones went completely off script, responded, "I don't care." That was a classic line. Languages. A lifelong resident of Texas, Jones is fluent in both English and Spanish. The actor's bilingual talents were on full display in his 2005 directorial debut, The Three Barrels of Melquiades Estrada, for which Jones earned the Cannes Best Actor award. What not to say? Known for his no-nonsense approach to interviews, Jones has an established list of topics that no interviewer should ever ask about. These off-limit subjects include his marriages, his political views, his real estate holdings, and his friendships. Walnuts. And during an interview with GQ magazine, Jones actually made his interviewer cry after harshly critiquing every question she asked. And what's more, he did so while cracking whole walnuts with his bare hands. Dang, boy. Tommyleejones, boy. On horseback. When he's not making movies, Jones can often be found playing polo. The 72-year-old maintains a residence in a polo country club in Buenos Aires, Argentina, and is an avid supporter of the Polo Training Foundation. On horseback, when he's not making movies, I believe I said this, yeah, his residence is a polo country club in Buenos Aires, Argentina, yeah. All right, ranching. In addition to polo, Jones also enjoys farming and ranching in his spare time. He owns a 3,000-acre cattle ranch near his hometown of San Saba, Texas, a second ranch near Van Horn, Texas, and also has a farm in Wellington, Florida. Outside the border, oddly enough, Jones is a big name in Japan, particularly as a spokesman for the Japanese brewing company Suntory. He primarily features in commercials for Suntory's coffee brand Boss, where he plays the character Alien Jones, an extraterrestrial disguised as a human. $100 million. With a net worth close to $100 million, it's no surprise that Jones enjoys the finer things. The actor is a frequent sight on London's famed Savile Row, where he has his own tailor to design his custom suits. Throughout his storied career, Jones crossed paths with Harrison Ford more than a few times. Since then, Ford has portrayed gallant characters whose names are widely recognized in pop culture to this day. Still, he didn't start out as a hero. Ford earned his first acting role at 24 years old, playing a bellhop in the 1966 film Dead Heat on a Merry-Go-Round. Though the role was uncredited, it was the first stepping stone to the wildly successful career. 8 years later, in 1973, he landed a role as Bob Falfa in George Lucas' film American Graffiti. Apparently, he made an impression on the up-and-coming director, as Lucas soon fingered Ford for another project. That project, of course, was Star Wars, playing the smarmy, handsome smuggler named Han Solo. Ford cemented himself as the quintessential action star in the upcoming years. He'd go on to play more action heroes. Ford cemented himself as the king of the franchises, assuming the leads in Star Wars, Indiana Jones, and Blade Runner. And while he earned fame and fortune, it's safe to say the stereotypical entitled aspect of megastardom never went to his head. See, it turns out that Ford has taken his hero status past the silver screen, providing his willingness to be a good Samaritan. They say you shouldn't take work home with you, but Harrison Ford doesn't know the meaning of that. While he doesn't travel through galaxies at light speed, Ford earned his pilot's license 2 decades ago and has logged over 5,000 hours of flight time. And like his film characters would, he puts that ability to use for the benefit of others. Back in 2000, for instance, two lost Wyoming hikers suffering from dehydration were saved from a grim fate when Ford arrived in the Bell 407 helicopter, and believe it or not, this might have been one of his smaller heroic gestures. So, okay. Well, that went into Harrison Ford's life, I believe. So basically, do you believe Jim Carrey? Do you believe Jim Carrey in how he feels about Harrison? I mean, Tommy Lee Jones. Do you believe Tommy Lee Jones is a prick, or was it just to such and such? Jim Carrey. Did he just have a problem with Jim Carrey? That's the way it seems to me. Is that him and Jim didn't really hit it off, but you could tell they wouldn't really click well because if you look at these two guys, they're different. Like Jim's very funny and has his time laughing and being himself, really not caring, about being taken serious, just certain times. But he's very funny. But tell me what you think. And was the movie Batman Forever good to you with Val Kilmer in it? Was it a great movie or was it okay? I thought it was okay. It wasn't all that to me. I watched it as a kid, but I just really wasn't feeling it. So let me know, man, like what you think in the comment section about what's going on. Let me know if you liked it. Like I said, like, comment, and subscribe, and share this video. Let me know in the comment section how you feel. I will have my email up and I will have my Twitter handle up. So thank you for paying attention and listening to me, and we're out. Live, boy.